So I've been talking a decent amount about young players all season, and there's still some super deep cuts that I want to talk about in the 2019 NBA draft, but I don't think any of them are worth doing a whole video on. So we can do some gauntlet style stuff. This is mainly going to be non-lottery, outside of probably Thibault, Brandon Clark, and Eric Paschall, because those three are kind of the standouts. I'm talking like the Grant Williams of the world and stuff is who we're going to talk about. Because these things matter. What usually happens is we look up at a draft a couple years down the road and we say, oh, that guy was drafted in round 2, he ended up being pretty good, and that type of thing. So, who do I begin with? I think I want to begin with Kevin Porter Jr. for the Cavs, who, overall for the season has not been great, but he's had a stretch recently that has been interesting. And he does seem like a guy who can make some plays when he has the ball. He also had a random 6-for-9 3-point game against the Rockets. But he seems like somebody who just could make some plays, basically. And it's a little tricky because of the whole Garland, Sexton, and now Dante Exum thing. But I think Porter is someone who the Cavs should continue to play. He's been getting over 20 minutes a game lately. And it's just kind of something. He sometimes might be a little too hesitant when it comes to attacking, but when he actually chooses to, he, again, just looks like someone who could be an offensive presence if you give him a bit of time. He is listed as a small forward. He's only 6'4". He's a little heavier than your average 6'4 guy, which might matter, might not at all. It's just something to monitor if you're really, really into caring about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Next, I want to talk about Sekou Doumbouya on the Pistons, who has finally been getting some minutes and has been doing some things. He's already had a couple of 10-rebound games, which is nice. He's 6'8", 6'11 wingspan. He's a good athlete, and I think he can play the 3 or the 4. And there's a lot of potential with him to just be an athletic presence out there. Who knows where his game really goes with his shooting, his ball handling, post scoring, anything, I don't know. But if he can be a respectable to very good defensive player, which I do think is possible, even if it might take a while, on top of just finding some sort of lane to be something on offense, then I think Doumbouya could be a long-term piece for the Pistons. I mean, he already had a 4-for-7 game from outside for Detroit, so that's intriguing, right? I mentioned him earlier. We'll talk about Grant Williams. He seems like he can be a multi-position defender. He's like 6'6", maybe 6'7", but he does a pretty good job at defending guys bigger than him. The fear is that he just has no offensive game at all. I mean, the guy is shooting like 18% on threes or whatever it is. I don't know if he has anything off the dribble, and he's not overwhelming with his athleticism or anything, so it is going to be a bit of a process with him to just find some sort of avenue to do something on offense. But in terms of fitting in with the team and defending and just hopefully just being a plus defender, I think there's at least something worth monitoring with Grant Williams. If we go to Jordan Poole of the Warriors, he was selected hoping that he can be a guy who can get some buckets, and he's had a tough time doing that so far, whether it's shot selection, reading defenses. Basically, it's just the type of stuff that you would expect a rookie to have trouble with, especially when you're asking him to do too much. I mean, about half of his 2-point shots have been assisted, or his 2-point buckets, and that seems like a lot to me. Like, he has to generate half of his points. And I think that's going to be pretty tricky, especially when there's so many guys on this team who are just not really dudes that the defense needs to pay attention to like that, So he has not been good, but I think he's been asked to do way too much. Kind of similar boat, although not being asked to do as much as Carson Edwards of the Celtics, who shot a lot of threes in college and was pretty good at them. His last season, he attempted 380 of them in 36 games, so that's that's like 10 threes a game, at least. He has not been able to make any shots for the Celtics. He's shooting, well, 31% on threes is like not horrible, but he's playing 10 minutes a game, and if he's not making buckets, then there's not a whole lot else he can do because he's 5'11", and I guess him and Jordan Poole are in the same boat. They have to become respectable at the thing they were drafted for. If we look at Darius Bazley for OKC, his thing coming into this was that he could be a guy who could be an athlete, kind of similar to Doumbouya in that way, although probably a little less intriguing if I'm being honest, for whatever reason. Shot selection and maybe dribbling a little too much and what else, but his physical tools are definitely there. There have been some problems leading up to this in terms of shot selection and stuff. I think Bazley just probably should have gone to college, for being honest. I'm not going to fault the guy for wanting to get money earlier on, but in terms of just being an on-court product, just seems like a guy who needed more time to just really figure out how to play basketball. We're getting into super deep cut territory now. Cody Martin on the Hornets, who was apparently supposed to be a bit of a ball handler at 6'5", who could maybe make like open standstill threes. His offense has not been very good. You could argue his defense has been serviceable at times. He's almost averaging about 1 steal in 15 minutes a game for Charlotte, so that's something. Nassir Little has been getting minutes at times for Portland. On his best day, he looks like a guy who could be a 3-and-D dude for you. On his worst day, it looks like he can't do anything. Shooting 16% from 3. But he did have a little stretch where he was making more threes than nothing, so it was like, oh, maybe there's something here, and it really hasn't been a thing since. I think getting Melo pretty much pushed him out of the rotation like that, which probably the smart move. Nikhil Walker has also been losing minutes. He came out of the gates shooting, and for some reason Chris Webber loved him even though he was taking bad shots. And he really has been a negative pretty much all season. The advanced stats absolutely despise him, so I don't know with that one. Daniel Gafford has been getting minutes for the Chicago Bulls at the center position. The advanced stats think he's actually really, really good. He's shooting over 70% at the rim, so that's fun. And then you keep going down and you're getting Nicholas Claxton, Bruno Fernando, and Jalen Noel, and the guy with the best name in the league, Admiral Schofield. There's Goga Batazde as well. I think I'm done, okay? I think these cuts are getting too deep even for me. So, what is the message behind this video? I think it's that Sekou Doumbouya is intriguing, and I could picture him being a guy who can defend a whole bunch of positions and be respectable on offense one day. And besides that, I don't know.